Hello and welcome once again to Talking Pictures Podcast. I'm your host David and join with me as always my co-host Brian. Brian, how are you today?
Deadpool 3.
I love that you don't even introduce yourself anymore. It's just you're launching straight into the trailer section.
I just want to get it over the bat. We've all seen it. Everyone has seen it. The world has seen it. I think it's the most reviewed trailer ever. So I want to... Yeah, we've seen the trailer. We love it. Yeah. Hugh Jackman tease, all that jazz. I want to shed a bit of light on the other two trailers that have caught my interest.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I think the Wicked trailer is something interesting that a lot of people can like. What did you think of the trailer?
I'm not really a Wicked fan. I've never heard the musical. I know the kind of main song from it. But it looked okay. Like, it's nothing that I'd be racing out to see, but I mean, it's there for people that want to see it.
Well, I'm not a Wicked fan either. I'm not a Wizard of Oz fanatic. I've not seen the musical. I don't even know the song. All I do know is that this depiction of, I suppose, the Wizard of Oz, it tells it from the perspective of the Wicked Witch of the West, the Green Witch, played by Cynthia Erivo. And Ariana Grande is playing the Good Witch. So it's just, how would I describe it? It's like what Wonka did for the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory universe. Now that's very much be end all a prequel, whereas this Wicked movie may be a prequel but also a sidequel, taking place during the Dorothy and Toto story. I'm not too sure, but I've not seen it, so I don't know how it's going to go. It's just the trailer came out. It's a musical. It's not coming out until the end of the year, so
It's part one as well.
So, and it's already done. It's being shot, and I hear that they planted an awful lot of flowers for it. That's not CGI. Those flowers are real. So, but the other trailer I want to shed a bit of light on as well is the official, unofficial sequel of Twisters.
Oh my god. They've added an S.
They're adding an S. They must think if they just stroke a line through the S, it will create... Oh, that means dollar signs. This is going to make money.
That's actually how they... that's how James Cameron pitched Aliens.
Yeah.
He got up and wrote... he wrote Alien on the board and then put a dollar sign after Alien. And they went, yes, okay, you got it. You made it.
So this Twisters movie's coming from the guy who did Minari, if you've seen it.
Yes.
This has a bit of an ensemble cast of YA actors, if you know what I mean. Like, we have the girl from Normal People. We have everyone loving Glenn Powell. I knew Glenn Powell from The Expendables 3. Everyone knew him from Top Gun Maverick, but I'm an OG with Glenn Powell. Then you have Anthony Ramos from In the Heights. You have Brendan Pereira, who was the tech guy in Nope. You have Kieran Shipka, who was Sabrina in the Chilling Adventures. You have Daryl McCormick, a good Irish lad. Sasha Lane, I know her from... she was in Hellboy, the movie we saw in the cinema first time. Yeah, I know her. Guess what? David Cornsweet, our new Superman, he's in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Do you know who's not in it? Helen Hunt.
Was she in the first one?
She was, yeah. She was a female lead.
I've not seen the first one at all, so...
I've seen it, but I can't really remember the plot. Like, I don't know what they're doing or why they're chasing tornadoes, why they don't just let them take their course. Anyway, this is just a new Twisters movie to capitalise on the intellectual property that is of Twisters, but it's not... How would I put this? It's just a new Twister movie. Similar to how maybe the Evil Dead Rise was a new Evil Dead movie, but no returning characters whatsoever. You know, the Twisters are back. But new cast, and I like the approach. This movie, because they're chasing Twisters and they're going into the storms and they're releasing fake science gadgets up, and Glenn Powell is this like yeehaw cowboy hat wearing media presenting love, and he's a superhero to, instead of chasing bulls and razzling them down, he razzles tornadoes.
Yeah.
So I guess that's stupid, David. But I think this is quality stupid.
The whole genre of like disaster movies, it kind of hit a peak where every single disaster movie is a 2012, like the whole world is being destroyed. Whereas this very much, sorry, go ahead.
The Day After Tomorrow.
Exactly, yeah.
That's another famous one.
What was the one that was most recently there? It was like something on the moon or something like that. I can't remember it exactly.
I can't for the life of me remember.
Yeah.
And I don't care either.
But they all became about the world-ending event, and that was the disaster. Whereas this seems to just be like, oh no, this is just a tornado, and we'll fuck up some houses, and we'll fuck up this kind of area, but it's not a world-ending threat. So it's just we'll get invested for the characters that we're seeing. You know, maybe they'll be in danger, but not the whole world is going to be destroyed if we don't stop this one thing now, or we're the last humans on a spaceship out of here, you know? So it's good to just, let's go back to our roots of disaster movie, you know? Just something small.
Yeah, exactly. Hopefully it'll all be good. So, that's the trailers I got. As I said, Deadpool 3 trailer came out, but the whole world has seen it.
Hard to miss it.
David, what are we here to review?
We are here to talk about the new movie Bob Marley, One Love, which is the newest musical biopic that has come to our screens about these music giants that have a kind of taken over the music scene in our not even our lives, but kind of the last 100 years. You got the big players like Elvis and the Beatles, Bob Marley, Elton John, Johnny Cash,
Bob Dylan, Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, James Brown. It's just gonna go on like it's just it's a top hat and with a whole bunch of musician names in it. You're just gonna pick one out every 2 or 3 years and right, who are we gonna do this year? Okay,
Michael Jackson next year. That'll be a trailer of the week when it comes out. Definitely,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
but that's for next year.
So we've talked about musical biopics before, haven't we? We did an episode.
We even discussed Bob Marley, One Love. The trailer was released when we discussed musical biopics, and it looked like it belonged in the award seasons, but it was coming out in February. And February came, we've watched it. And is there a dramatization of Bob Marley? Nope, let's do it. Here we are. And I think the critics are not liking it, but everyone else is.
I kind of saw that myself when I think on Instagram they had put up like the audience score is 98%. And I'm like, okay, what's the critic score? Do you know what if they lean on the audience, they very well will. Do you know? Yeah. Any movie does take their Rotten Tomatoes score very seriously, and if it's a good one, they will highly promote it. But if it's a bad one, they will lean heavily on that audience score. I don't know about you now. I'd actually be interested in going back to listen to our musical biopics episode because I don't remember what we discussed about this movie. But I definitely know what you're saying.
I do. I remember.
Oh, was it good? Was it bad? Did we have high hopes for it?
Well, it wasn't really too much about it. We were looking forward to it, no different than anything else. You strangely mentioned you were looking forward to an Amy Winehouse biopic, which we're getting later this year, Back to Black.
Yeah, but then again, I think that might have been because you do tend to look forward to, when it is an artist like this, you're excited for the people that you maybe know the more music of. And Bob Marley is one that I definitely didn't know as many songs from. Like, as they played within the movie, I was like, oh yeah, I know this, but I couldn't name it. Do you know?
Yeah.
Obviously there's like Buffalo Soldier, I'd know, One Love, Don't Worry About a Thing, and then No Woman, No Cry. But other than that, everything else was kind of new. Even those kind of songs, I didn't realize some of them were. Obviously, the No Woman, No Cry one, that was the one I'm talking about now, that I didn't really recognise it until the chorus kicked in. And I was like, oh, all right, okay, yeah. But the Amy Winehouse one I'd be more interested in only because I know more of her. Do you know, I know more songs about her. Sorry, I know more songs by her and I know more about her life. So that's why I'd be interested in it. What would you say in terms of Bob Marley? Like, were you as familiar with his music as you would be someone else, like obviously maybe not Elvis or Elton John or someone like that? But
I'd say around 3 to 4 songs I knew were from Bob Marley. I definitely knew of recent years, but I knew he got big quick, and I knew he died very young. And I knew the journey of discovering his illness, and I knew how he died. I knew he had 11 kids. I didn't know if his dreadlocks were real, but I guess they're real. I looked it up. Yeah, they're real. And even though this movie still made me want to go watch the documentary Marley, which was released in 2012, which has some of his children, especially Ziggy Marley, he's doing interviews in that movie, Marley, but he's also a producer on this movie here. Marley is a documentary, so I'm sure that delves into more things, whereas this is a dramatized version of Bob Marley. As naturally so, it's becoming a genre in itself. A diamond in the rush discovers he's got amazing talent of singing, rags to riches, falls into drugs, has a redemption in the end, and that's this here, and that's just no different, not really, except maybe, yeah, he didn't become addicted to drugs, and I don't know if he did in real life, but in this movie, his redemption or his revelation is not hiding from where he comes from. So the movie starts off, he's already established in Jamaica as a superstar. He's already well known. He's already rich enough to be helping those in need, and he's in the middle of a political war that's going on, and he's been perceived as a problem for one or two of the sides that are at war, political war, battling each other because Jamaica just gained their independence.
He doesn't pick a side at all. He's just, that he's performing the concert and everyone wants to put a political message on it. And he's like, no, this is just a peace concert.
Yes. And so this is real as well. I didn't know the extent of this, but he was actually shot. And I guess his manager took a few shots as well, and he also survived. Well, that is crazy. And his wife, I didn't know this as well. I wonder if it's as accurate as it was in this movie. She got shot at the back of her head, and her dreadlocks stopped the bullet from hitting her skull. That's insane.
It is, yeah. And it's almost made up. It sounds made up, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit. I hope it's not. But he makes an attempt to perform the concert, but he's not feeling it. He doesn't feel safe. He's having visions of the guy who shot him, so he leaves the country. And it's actually not that long of a movie, David, because he's in it. London most of the movie.
The majority of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Until he goes on tour.
Yeah, and it's pretty much about him making the Exodus album. And when it comes to musicians making their albums, I don't really follow that because I need to remember what songs are in the album. And I might not like every song in the album. Therefore, I like it when a musician makes a song and I'll focus on that song if I like it or I don't feel it. But it's all about making this Exodus album, and then yes, he finds success. We see him, just like in Bohemian Rhapsody, and just like your song in Rocket Man, the creation of the song and then the performance of it, and then success on tour. The journey in the middle of the movie, the meat of it, he's been asked to come back home to sort of help unite the nation of Jamaica. He doesn't want to. He's enjoying himself on tour. Apparently too much. Not that we see. And what I mean by that, and you pointed this out more so, David, and I didn't miss this. I guess I wasn't too bothered by it, but we're given the impression, he's being unfaithful to his wife. He's cheating. But is she as well? Because she's left to rear the kids and he's off, performing. But we don't see any of that. It's as if scenes were removed or they just didn't want to touch on it, because you said this yourself, David. They told us that he had a fight with his wife, and they both acknowledged you're cheating on me, essentially. And they said that to each other. And I guess I know they teased that a little bit by a 2-second shot. Good for a visual indicator, but you didn't follow through. You didn't follow through on that.
No, not at all.
And then, as you said, it felt like it told us rather than showing us.
It was just like randomly in the middle of a montage, like as he's kind of gaining success after the Exodus release. And and then all of a sudden there's a shot of a woman coming to a door, but it was literally just that one shot, and it was only because of the fact that earlier on in the film there was one shot again of him on the phone to his wife, and he says like, "Oh, I miss you," and then there's a shot of her behind like waiting for him, and I was like, okay, is that supposed to be the same girl? And if so, are you insinuating that these two are in the montage? I'm thinking this. Are you insinuating that he's having an affair? Because if so, you have not given me. I'm I'm putting these two together, but you haven't. I'm really stretching to see like, are these two scenes related? And then it's not brought up again until they do have that fight where she kind of accuses him of cheating, and then he says, well, what about you? You've been cheating on me. But there was no indication of that at all. There was nothing from her perspective to say that she was cheating, or he didn't. Neither of them had any suspicions or anything like that. It just all comes out in this fight. So like that, it was very much either a plot that was written and filmed and then dropped, or it was just we're going to say it as opposed to show it to you. It never felt throughout that Bob was actively cheating on her or anything like that, or you never see him being weird around his wife. Like every time he sees her, he's always smiling, and they get up and they hug each other, and then they never kissed. I noticed that, actually. I think they only kissed once towards the end of the film, but there doesn't seem to be that distance. The only distance between them is the geographical distance. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but maybe they wanted to kind of depict Bob Marley in a very, very positive light. And so by not showing the cheating allegations and stuff like that, they painted him in as positive a light as possible, but they still did want to be as truthful as possible. So they kind of nearly swept it under the rug of not actually showing us any wrongdoing on his behalf.
Well, you're making me think of both Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody. In Bohemian Rhapsody, they showed a few times of Freddie Mercury being unfaithful to his partner by cheating on her with men. That was clearly insinuated a few times. And in Rocket Man, the 2 to 3 scenes of him marrying that woman and having the wedding because they bonded over a song, to then living a life of, oh, it's just for show. They don't even sleep together. That was just completely introduced and concluded within the 3 scenes of Rocket Man, whereas it was 2 or 3 years of Elton John's life, and it involved her as well, and it almost feels like that was glossed over. Even I'm trying to say is those 2 movies did it better, but it's still touching on it lightly, like for example, when Martin Scorsese was trying to do the Frank Sinatra movie, Frank Sinatra's estate wouldn't even budge in the slightest, because of course Marty was gonna implement elements of the mafia, and Sinatra's ties, no matter how big or small or factually correct or not they were, they don't want that. No estate wants to push their musician in a bad light. Bad imagery. And okay, yeah, fair enough, but
it feels with the Bob Marley one that if you were going to touch on it so lightly, you might as well not have done it at all. Like it might. I don't think that the story would have been decreased at all by not having those 2 shots in there or that line in the argument.
Well, if they didn't have it in there, I'm sure they could have just replaced it with something else, because this is just a 12-act story structure. It happens in every movie. They would have needed to have an argument on something anyway. So if not that, I'm sure they could have used something else. But
I thought that the argument was sufficient, the one that they were having anyway, without the cheating allegations. So we won't get stuck on it anyway. But
no, very time consistent. What did you think of the incorporation of Bob Marley's music? Like, for example, I think I remember you telling me one time when you watched the Elvis movie with Austin Butler, it felt like there's not really any songs in there that you get to listen to like the way you would, I guess, in Rocket Man. Even though Rocket Man is a little bit different because it is in fact a proper musical, whereas this is not a musical. It's a musician's life, So you need the music. Otherwise, in my opinion, in my book, you don't qualify as a biopic. You know what I mean?
There was nothing. See, once again, I'm at the disadvantage of I'm not as familiar with his music, so getting, even if it was a small snippet of it, I was fine with it because it wasn't like I was waiting for any particular part of the song. So I will fully acknowledge that I'm at that disadvantage. So I don't think that maybe my opinion would be as valid as someone who is a diehard Bob Marley fan and they wanted to hear any particular song. Like, there was no song that I, even knowing a couple of them, there was no song that I was expecting except for One Love, because it's the name of the song or the name of the movie. So I was expecting that one at least. That was the only one that I was genuinely like, okay, this one has to be played. So anything else that came along that I recognized, I was like, okay, yeah, cool. And then was able to vibe with it a little bit. But there was nothing that I felt was cut short, anything like that. The only complaint I'd have about music is sometimes it was used a little bit on the nose. And I'll give you 2 examples for that. And it was when they have the fight and they argue and she walks off, and then it cuts immediately into No Woman, No Cry. And I'm like, you're a little bit on the nose there. And then the second time was towards the end of the movie when that guy came in, the one had shot him earlier, and he asked for forgiveness, and he says, you have to forgive yourself. Like, basically, like, I can't give you forgiveness. You have to find your own redemption. Cut to redemption song. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Yeah, come on. Like, you don't have to be as brazen with it.
I'm glad that you didn't mention the 2 songs that I was delighted to watch on screen. Jaimin and Three Little Birds. The Jaimin one, I hope you like to Jaimin with you. That was somewhere around the middle of the movie. They're in London. They're playing football.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that comes on and like, oh yeah, I recognize this, but like that when you said jamming, I couldn't think of it until you sang it a little bit.
Yeah, and that's not him singing it like to himself or to his buddies. It's just played as part of the soundtrack. Same with Three Little Birds. Don't worry about a thing. By the way, I just want to talk about that sequence because now he's he
returns.
He returns to Jamaica. And quite instantly, he steps off the plane, and that wide shot, you see a whole crowd, but they just rush through past the barriers, and the whole crowd storms him. And he's not like running away from them or anything. He's letting them come to him. He's accepting it, and he's smiling.
Embracing it,
he's happy to see this, and I just really got on board with the positivity and the good graces of that whole sequence, because he's driving from the airport through his town and his village, and every time the car enters the frame, bystanders notice it's Bob Marley. He's back. The whole country loves him. It's like paparazzi almost trying to get a look at him, get a picture of him, tell them they love him, and then playing "Don't Worry About a Thing," every little thing. Which is a good song. It's probably Bob Marley's signature song, most famous. I've heard it in quite a lot of movies in my life growing up, and I just really liked that choice of music for that whole sequence because they got to play the most of it, the majority of it. They even had an extended shot of the car driving one down corner of the lane and then to the up, like nothing else happening but the car just driving, just to extend the padding of the song runtime, which is I don't mind, I'm happy. and at the end of the day, David, a good movie, of course. I need it to be a good movie, but once you've got the songs from the musician that the movie is about and you get to incorporate them quite well, that's it for me. That's a win. The reason I would say Rocket Man is my favorite is because it's used extensively and quite a lot of them, and my favorite Bob Marley songs were used in this movie. Of course, they're the most famous and popular ones. I'm not a Bob Marley fanatic or anything. I'm not some hardcore Bob Marley fan who's going to criticize the movie for they didn't cover this and they didn't use this song because I like this song and no one else likes this song. Yeah. Okay, you're a hardcore fan. I'm sure the documentary did it better maybe, but I'm a simple man when it comes to this type of stuff. I'm not expecting too much. I just want a good movie and good use of the material, and that's why I'm looking forward to Back to Black. I'm looking to see what can you tell me about this artist let me hear some of their songs. I'll go fish out a documentary later on. There is a documentary about Amy Winehouse as well, and I can, and everyone just like everyone who thinks they're cool to say the book is better than the movie, they'll say the documentary is better than the movie. That might be true, but don't be stuck up about it. You can enjoy both. You can enjoy both.
Yeah.
And I will look up for some documentaries. I am watching some musician documentaries because I just want to hear the music, get to know them a little bit more. So, looking forward to that. Here's something else. I saw Bob Dylan live. I thought he was shite, and I'm still looking forward to the James Mangold, Timothy Chalamet, Bob Dylan biopic he's doing. Maybe at the end of this year or next year. So that's what I got out of this movie, and I was happy with it. It wasn't great or anything. But
sounds like you're wrapping up, Brian. We haven't even got to the flashbacks yet.
Oh dear. End of part one.
End of part one. Laura, play that jingle first. Thank you, Laura. So, very short flashback section today. There's not as much. Flashback number 1. Bob Marley's son, Ziggy Marley, heavily influenced and improved the casting of Kingsley Ben-Adir as the cinematic portrayal of his late father. It was something I noticed as well, actually, as the credits were coming up. There were a lot of Marleys in the credits, in either producer or executive producer roles.
Isn't it just a fucking shame that Bob Marley passed away when he did, in such a rare cancer disease, skin cancer, I believe. 36. He'd still be alive.
Oh, easily, absolutely. Like, it's always, anytime that you see these kind of biopics where the artist dies young, it's like you said a little bit earlier, it's someone that's fallen to drugs, or they get wrapped up in the wrong thing, or they get shot or something like that, like a very, very tragic, untimely death. And that's the case here. It's a tragic, untimely death, but it's, you know, due to cancer, a rare form of cancer that he had. Like, he didn't do anything wrong at all. He just got cancer and died, and it's extremely sad. And of course, he was the one artist who's out there trying to preach one love and respect each other, and bringing two political parties together and trying to create a positive atmosphere around everyone. That he's the one that passes away. He doesn't get to live to be in his 80s or 90s, spreading peace and love and seeing the effect that he has on people. But he's the one that gets to die far too young, 36.
Still 11 children carrying it on. And you know, when you have that many Marleys behind the camera, his wife, some of his children, you have to take their word that they've, of course, them giving their blessing should be included as a factor of this movie being as accurate as drama will allow it.
Exactly, yeah. You always are going to have trade-offs in terms of drama and bringing someone's life to the screen. So it's hopefully it was as accurate as it could be, while also, you know, being as therapeutic for them, I suppose, to, you know, have some kind of artifact of their dad or some kind of portrayal of their dad as they remember.
Yeah.
And then flashback number 2, at the title at the end of the film, it explains that Bob Marley unfortunately passed away at the age of 36 in 1981. Kingsley Ben-Adir actually celebrated his 37th birthday while filming the movie. So he's actually 1 year older than Bob Marley ever was, which is insane.
I remember Kingsley Ben-Adir being cast as Bob Marley. I thought that was a fantastic choice. Yeah, great. I love it. Okay, yes, he doesn't sing. It's Bob Marley's recorded music. His lyrics being implemented into the songs, and Ben-Adir is ad-libbing. But it's like an actor being cast as a popular superhero in the superhero genre these days. Like, we're all anticipating who's going to be cast as a certain character for an upcoming superhero movie.
Yeah.
I would see any musician biopic, and who are they going to cast as that?
Yeah. And then does that version then become the definitive version of the portrayal, do you know?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like for so long there wasn't a definitive Elvis portrayal. I feel like Austin Butler has nailed that now because of how big that movie was. Like, there were a lot of Elvis portrayals, but it nearly is like...
His Elvis is the Elvis movie. Like, when you think about the Elvis movie, Austin Butler is tied to it. His face is tied to it. Just like Yes, this movie's not as popular, but Ben-Adir his face is tied to the Bob Marley biopic.
I think of Johnny Cash, I think Joaquin Phoenix. I think to his face before I think to Johnny Cash's.
And he doesn't even look like him.
No. So he is the definitive Johnny Cash portrayal. In the same way that I think of Taron Egerton when I think of a young Taron Egerton as the young Elton John. I think of Elton John how he is now because I've always seen him that way. But when I think of a young Elton John, I think Taron Egerton.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's just how it is. And remember, it's not a documentary. It is a biopic.
Yeah, dramatization.
That's the way it is. Yeah, exactly. We can have those.
And then actually, speaking of casting, Kingsley Ben-Adir, as you said there, he's kind of the like the Marvel superhero, like you were saying that. He actually did appear in Secret Invasion. I only knew him from that. I knew him from Secret Invasion, and I knew him from Barbie. He appeared in the Barbie movies, one of the Kens.
My first Kingsley Ben-Adir screen presence was him playing Malcolm X in One Night in Miami. That's a fictionalized movie where Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke and Jim Brown, all gents together in one room one night in Miami. Whether or not that was real, I don't know, but that was directed by Regina King. So that was...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was an interesting movie. So that was my first introduction to Kingsley Ben-Adir. So... guess what, David? Lashana Lynch, who is in this movie, is also in the MCU. So it's like, she was in the Marvel movies.
Yeah. So, I was gonna say actually her as well. She was quite good in this. I'm looking forward to seeing her going forward because the 4 roles I can think of her off the top of my head is this one, playing Rita Marley. Then we have her as what's her name, Binary in like the MCU. Like Monica Rambeau, or is it Monica Rambeau? Or
she is Monica Rambeau, is she not?
Yeah, I know she's a Rambeau, but I don't know. Oh, Maria Rambeau, her daughter is Monica. She's Maria Rambeau. Then she's in No Time to Die, and she is in The Woman King, which I only watched at the start of this year as well.
Yeah,
she's great in that.
King.
So
she was the best in The Woman King. She was the best character.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really looking forward to her going forward.
She was a great character. Yeah, she's a great actress. I like her a lot. So it's kind of funny. You just see, 2 actors crossing paths. Were you marveled? Yeah, I was marveled.
I completely forgot that she was even in the Marvels and all that kind of stuff. So I to be honest, when I saw her, I was only thinking of No Time to Die because she plays 007 in that.
Well, I didn't see her at all. I saw her. I knew her as Lashana Lynch, but I see her in this movie as Bob Marley's wife. And oh my god, she was great in this stuff. And that fight scene they had together. You swim in pollution, you get polluted. That is such a terrible Jamaican accent, and I love their accents. I love Jamaican accents. I think you're stretching Laura's arm out a bit too far.
Sorry, Laura. Sorry.
Waiting to dial that music so she can get out.
Play that jingle, Laura. Please play the jingle. Thank you, Laura.
Do you think Laura is gonna go down a spiral and then end up suing us for taking advantage of her music incorporation?
I could see her suing us definitely for the fact that we don't pay her. So she's been working pretty much 40 hours a week every single week on this podcast and never been paid. I could see her taking us to court for that, but otherwise I don't know what she'd have to complain about.
I think they'd, I'm just thinking what they would include in a biopic if they were ever to do one about her. Would they incorporate the fact that she's also our graphic designer?
Yeah, but we'd have to like paint ourselves in a nice light. Do you know that we didn't work for slave drivers? Do you know? Pay.
Absolutely. Who would you want to play you?
Oh, that's a good question. Can you play me and I'll play you?
Yeah, I'm an alright actor.
Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. Yeah, I'll play you. I'll play you. You play me. That's.
I can grow a beard.
Yeah.
Laura can pull an M&N and she can play herself. A fictionalized but near accurate version of herself.
I don't think anyone else could play her. But anyway, sorry, moving on from this future movie. We still have this one to finish up here. The movie, I don't know about you, I just kind of want to end on this point, kind of similarly to where the movie ends. Maybe it was going against kind of the stereotype of how these kind of biopics work, but I was honestly disappointed by the fact that it is all leading up to this concert, the One Love concert, and then realistically it ends with him going on stage, that we don't actually see a version of the performance or anything like that, because it immediately, once he goes out on stage, the movie ends and we see some stock footage of the concert itself, of Bob Marley dancing on stage, the real Bob Marley, and then we see him bringing out the political leaders and stuff like that, and we hear the One Love song, but it's not actually performed, and I just felt like it really didn't end on a high note that it could have if we had seen that, because I think that seeing that stock footage would have been nice, and I always do like seeing that kind of real life footage at the end credits.
It's a mandatory for every biopic movie. It doesn't matter if it's a musician biopic. If you have it, put it in.
Yeah, you want to do the comparisons just at the end, just as the credits are coming up. You're like, oh, okay, so that's how it was. So I would have really liked to see a performance of One Love, and just seeing that depicted on screen as opposed to seeing the stock footage. I don't know about you, how that felt. It just felt like a bit of a plateau of an end rather than a high.
It did plateau for me, I'm not gonna lie. It did feel like, oh, it's over?
Yeah.
And I thought, you're gonna show us the stock footage and then you're gonna cut back just to, because they put up the text. Bob Marley died in 1981. He was 36, and he achieved this, and while he was doing that, so the text that you're supposed to have at the end of the movie, and then you get the stock footage after that, the real life person, and then you're gonna show us this, and then you're gonna cut back to the movie and have him perform One Love. Nope, not that. You don't have that at all. So yeah, that did plateau for me, because it was a build up to this concert to unite Jamaica, and unfortunately it did the tell, don't show. It was a little bit anticlimactic, and I don't think this movie has earned the capabilities to go against type and go against musician biopic tradition. To, you know what? We're not going to end it on this high note. We're not going to do what Bohemian Rhapsody did, or Elton John did, or what Elvis did, because those three movies, just to name a few, but they all do it, have a final song where the actor playing the musician has their last hurrah. This one didn't, and I don't think this one earned that.
To go against type, yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't like it. I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it.
It just wasn't clear to me, I think, throughout the film what we were really building to. Then once it became clear that that's what we were building to, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that's fair enough. We're going to the One Love concert. But then we didn't even build to that. We built up to him walking out on stage, and that just felt like, okay, well, not really what was the point? Like, obviously the point is to experience Bob Marley's life, but it just felt like you're there to see him as the musician. And that was just kind of taken away.
The worst thing this movie, you could say, is what it didn't do. But everything else it did do wasn't bad.
No, it was fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. I've nothing really bad to say about what it did. If it were to improve, it would have to be longer to include those scenes. There wasn't too many scenes that I think should have been cut out, but it was fine. Longer doesn't mean better, but if we wanted more of being informed and shown, not told, about the story they're trying to tell, well then, yes, it would have to be a bit longer.
Yeah. But even at that, like, it's only an hour 40. Like, it's a short enough watch. So I think it maybe would have benefited from those extra 20 minutes. Like, you don't have to go crazy. Extra 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just for a bit of added context and stuff like that.
Yeah. But I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
No, not at all. It fits within, like, if anyone was, like, doing their top 10 list, but it wouldn't be for me personally, it wouldn't be near the top of that list. But it's absolutely fine, and it's if you wanted a quick summarization as opposed to a documentary, it's a grand one to just stick on, you know.
Well, I don't think there are that many musician biopics to make a top 10 list, and that would not be in it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah,
like first you'd have to see the majority of them, then you'd have to pick the top 10, and there's nothing really. Maybe this would be 11, maybe. Like I know the favorite for me, the top two best are Rocket Man and Straight Outta Compton. Those are the top two. Best objectively, facts.
Yeah, but those would be I go Rocket Man, Walk the Line, Straight Outta Compton.
I might switch Straight Outta Compton for Walk the Line. I just liked how that movie was done. It felt very raw. But we're not reviewing them movies. We're reviewing.
If you want to know what we think about those, go back to our musical biopic episode. I'm sure we spoke about it there, and we probably picked three completely different ones.
No. We said that. Yeah, you said Rocket Man. I said Straight Outta Compton.
Brilliant.
So that's all I have to say. It's a short enough movie for a short enough episode. Yeah,
Brilliant.
That's all.
Have you got a recommendation for us for this week?
What do I have to recommend for you lot?
I watched Mr. and Mrs. Smith, by the way, one of your recommendations the last couple of weeks. Great recommendation. I'm going to echo your recommendation of that one.
Oh, I would love nothing more than to re-recommend that. But I'm going to recommend The Bear.
Nice one.
Yeah, David, you've seen The Bear and you're caught up to it. You've told me a few times to watch it, and I didn't really see the urgency, the necessity to watch The Bear. And then Ibn Moss-Barack was cast as the Thing, Ben Grimm, in the upcoming Fantastic Four. I don't know why I'm curious to see who was going to play the Thing. Maybe it's because it's an actor who's going to be voicing the character, motion capture or no. It's supposed to be Mr. Fantastic's best friend. Mm-hmm. He's supposed to be the muscle, not in the same level of dynamic as Bruce Banner and the Hulk, but I guess it's just more curious to see who. And this guy, the bomb, was cast as the Thing. So I went to check out him in The Bear. Watched 2 episodes, and not only did I like the show, and I thought, he's Ben Grimm, he's the Thing. I had to keep rewinding it to watch the scene again because I kept on getting distracted. But he's also the best character in the show. I've seen 2 episodes, and his character is the best in the show. Richie. Yeah. Just wanted to recommend that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to discussing more of that with you as you watch more of it. So that's a good recommendation, definitely. I'm going to go with a BBC series. It's called This Is Going to Hurt. It is a medical show about a guy on a labour ward, a doctor on a labour ward, and it is some of the funniest and most clever it is some of the funniest, clever, quick-witted shows I've ever seen, and it's very, very funny. It's starring Ben Whishaw, who you might know as Q from
him.
James Bond movies. He voices Paddington, you know him, Brian, but he is the main doctor in it.
Yeah, we're friends.
Oh, you're their mates. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize you and Ben were mates. But it's a very, very good show. Very funny. I'm only about halfway through it now, but it is not like a typical like Grey's Anatomy or The Good Doctor or anything like that. It seems like it's a very down to earth portrayal of the British NHS.
Don't shit on what others love.
No, hey, I'm not shitting on either of those. Okay, I quite enjoy a bit of Grey's Anatomy every now and again. You know, just coming in and going like, oh, what's this character up to? And Laura's like, he's dead, and I'm like, what? That's crazy. You know, I like that. The Good Doctor is also a TV show, but I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about This Is Going to Hurt. So it's a BBC show. It's only 1 season. It's 7 episodes, and it's very, very good. It's very funny. I was surprised with how funny it was.
You definitely hurt someone by shitting on them shows.
I didn't shit on any shows. I told you. I like Grey's Anatomy sometimes. And The Good Doctor is also a show. Okay? I didn't say anything negative about anyone's shows. Okay?
Don't make me to force my way to give a a name drop of Halo. Don't force me.
I'm not saying anything negative. I'm wrapping the episode up. If you made it this far, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to follow us, we are on all of your social media apps of choice. We are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on TikTok, we are on Letterboxd. All of those are in our link tree. You can find them. We're available on any of your podcasting apps of choice. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, we're on Pocket Casts, we're on absolutely everything and anything that you can find us on. Just look up Talking Pictures Podcast and we will be there for you. We post new episodes every single Wednesday, so make sure that you are subscribed to us. You can give us 5 stars. We really appreciate it. It helps us in that it allows other people to find us, and it costs you nothing at all, so why not do it? So that is an end for this episode of the Talking Pictures Podcast. We'll be back next week for a very special episode. We're going to be doing our Oscar predictions, so we're going to be running through all of the best actress and actors, supporting actors, supporting actresses, best pictures, maybe even some animated features, all of those categories. We're going to be running through them all to give you a very quick insight into what those movies entail and who's likely to win.
That's next week.
That's going to be next week.
That's next week.
Yep.
Shit.
Yeah, you better start watching.
Yeah.
You got a lot of movies to watch.
Better get cracking.
Yeah. And actually, in preparation for that, if you like, goes a double recommendation for viewers. It was a movie that I recommended a couple of weeks ago. It's called Nimona. It's nominated for Best Animated Feature. It's free on YouTube right now. So I don't know in the future it's free on YouTube right now, and Netflix put it up in preparation, I guess, for the Oscars. So if that's one of the movies that you wanted to see, it's free, available on YouTube now. It's called Nimona, Nimona. So that's all from what am I trying to say? That's all from us here at Talking Pictures Podcast. Make sure to tune in next week for that very special Oscars episode.
Bob Marley One Love is the best movie of 2024 so far. What does that tell you?
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks, David.